Fame can light up the world until it burns out. Tonight, we uncover the haunting truth behind 15 beloved pop voices who rose to the top of the charts, only to be silenced by lung cancer. Their songs moved millions, but behind the applause hid the darker side of fame that few ever saw. Number 1. Donna Summer. On May 17, 2012, the world woke up to the heartbreaking news that the Queen of Disco had passed away at the age of 63. She was at her home in Naples, Florida, surrounded by family, after quietly fighting lung cancer. For many who grew up in the glittering era of the 1970s, her name was more than music. It was movement, rhythm, and the sound of joy itself. Donna Summer had ruled the dance floor with hits like Hot Stuff, Bad Girls, and Last Dance. Her voice carried not just power, but an electric energy that defined an entire generation of nightlife. By the late 1970s, she had become one of the most influential female artists in pop history, winning 5 Grammy Awards and selling more than 100 million records worldwide. But behind the flashing lights and glamorous costumes, Donna's life was never as carefree as her songs sounded. In the early 2000s, she began living a quieter life, performing less often, and devoting her time to painting, faith, and family. Those close to her said she remained deeply spiritual, often speaking about gratitude and the fleeting nature of fame. In her final years, Donna avoided the spotlight. She had been diagnosed with lung cancer, but chose to keep her condition private. Friends later revealed that she believed her illness might have been linked to inhaling toxic dust from the September 11th attacks, which she had been exposed to while living in New York City at the time. Whether or not that was true, she faced her final battle with the same grace she had shown throughout her career. When she passed away in 2012, tributes flooded in from every corner of the world. Artists from Beyoncé to Barbra Streisand called her an inspiration. Her songs were played across radio stations for days, turning every dance floor into a memorial. Even decades after her rise to fame, Donna Summer's music continues to pulse through generations, reminding us that behind every bright stage light, there can be shadows that even fame cannot erase. Number 2. Nat King Cole. On February 15, 1965, the golden voice of American pop and jazz fell silent forever. Nat King Cole was only 45 when lung cancer took him, leaving behind a legacy that still defines the very sound of classic American music. He had been one of the first African-American performers to host a national television show, a symbol of elegance and grace in a time when segregation still divided the country. His calm smile, his velvet voice, and his effortless charm had made him a favorite in both black and white households across America. By the early 1960s, Nat's health had started to decline, though few knew the truth. He had smoked heavily for most of his adult life, believing it helped his deep, soothing tone. Even as doctors warned him, he continued performing, recording hit after hit, from Unforgettable to Mona Lisa and the Christmas Song. The public saw only perfection, a man whose every note sounded like a dream. But behind that smooth voice was a growing pain he refused to show. In late 1964, Nat entered the hospital for tests. The diagnosis was devastating, yet he kept working, planning new recordings even as his strength faded. His wife, Maria, and their 5 children stood by his side, praying for recovery. His daughter, Natalie Cole, was just a young girl, unaware that she would one day carry on her father's musical torch. During his final weeks, Nat was still thinking about music, still making plans for a return to the stage that would never come. When news of his passing broke on that cold February day in 1965, America wept. Newspapers across the country printed his photo on the front page. Flags were lowered at Capitol Records, where he had recorded his greatest hits. Musicians everywhere paid tribute, calling him a pioneer and a gentleman of music. His funeral in Los Angeles drew thousands of fans, friends, and fellow artists who came to honor the man who made the world sing with love and dignity. Even now, every time Unforgettable plays, it feels as though Nat King Cole is still there, softly reminding us that beauty and sorrow often live side by side in the story of fame. If you enjoyed this story, share your thoughts below and tell us which of his songs still touches your heart today. Number 3. Sarah Vaughan. On April 3, 1990, the world lost one of its most extraordinary voices. Sarah Vaughan passed away at her home in Hidden Hills, California. After battling lung cancer, she was 66 years old. Known to her fans as Sassy and the Divine One, she had spent nearly 5 decades transforming jazz and pop into something deeply personal, a sound that seemed to breathe emotion itself. Born in Newark, New Jersey, Sarah's rise began in the early 1940s when she won an amateur contest at the Apollo Theater. From there, she joined Earl Hines's band, performing alongside Billy Eckstine and Dizzy Gillespie. Her voice, rich, flexible, and almost instrument-like, made her one of the few singers who could effortlessly cross from jazz to pop, from smoky nightclubs to grand concert halls. By the 1950s, Sarah Vaughan was already a household name. She filled every stage she touched with power, elegance, and that unmistakable vibrato that made her songs unforgettable. As the years went on, Sarah's music evolved with the times. She sang everything from Broadway standards to pop ballads, yet always in her own way. Audiences adored her ability to turn any song into pure storytelling. Behind the curtain, though, she carried the weight of constant touring, recording, and the pressure of perfection. In the 1980s, she continued performing around the world, even as she quietly faced health problems that few knew about. In late 1989, she was diagnosed with lung cancer. Doctors advised rest, but Sarah kept performing for as long as she could. Music had been her life since she was a teenager, and stepping away was never easy. Her final concert took place in Japan, where fans greeted her with flowers and tears. When she returned home, her condition worsened quickly. Surrounded by loved ones, she spent her last days listening to her own recordings, the voice that had carried her through everything. When the news spread in April 1990, tributes poured in from across the globe. Musicians called her one of the greatest voices of the 20th century. Critics described her as a singer who could paint emotion with sound. To this day, Sarah Vaughan's songs remain timeless, her legacy echoing through every artist who dares to blend beauty, sorrow, and truth in one unforgettable voice. Number 4. Lou Rawls. On January 6, 2006, America lost one of its smoothest and most soulful voices. Lou Rawls passed away in Los Angeles after a long fight with lung cancer that had spread to his brain. He was 72 years old. His deep, velvety tone and effortless phrasing had made him one of the most recognizable singers in the history of rhythm and blues, pop and jazz. For decades, his songs had filled radios, nightclubs, and living rooms across the country, offering warmth and comfort to millions. Born in Chicago, Lou began singing in church choirs as a boy. By the early 1960s, his voice caught the attention of record producers, leading to his first big hit, Love Is a Hurtin' Thing. But it was his 1976 anthem, You'll Never Find Another Love Like Mine, that turned him into a superstar. The song reached the top of the Billboard charts and became an instant classic, blending the smooth sophistication of jazz with the emotional pull of soul and pop. Fans fell in love not just with the song, but with the man behind it, charming, confident, and undeniably authentic. Throughout his career, Lou recorded more than 60 albums, won 3 Grammy Awards, and earned a reputation for being one of the hardest-working performers in show business. He also became a respected philanthropist, hosting the Lou Rawls Parade of Stars, which raised hundreds of millions for the United Negro College Fund. Offstage, however, he faced challenges that fame could not shield him from. Years of smoking had damaged his lungs, but he continued to perform well into his 60s, refusing to let illness silence him. In late 2005, Lou's health declined sharply. Even while hospitalized, he spoke with gratitude about his life and career, telling friends that music had given him everything he ever dreamed of. When he passed away in early 2006, tributes came from every corner of the entertainment world. His longtime collaborator Patti LaBelle called him a gentleman with a golden voice. Radio stations played his music non-stop for days. Today, when "You'll Never Find Another Love Like Mine" begins to play, that deep baritone still feels alive, a reminder of the timeless voice that turned pain into poetry and love into melody. Number 5. B.J. Thomas. On May 29, 2021, the world said goodbye to one of the most heartfelt voices in American pop and country music. B.J. Thomas passed away at his home in Arlington, Texas, after a battle with lung cancer. He was 78 years old. For more than 5 decades, his songs had blended pop, gospel, and country into melodies that lifted the spirit and soothed the soul. His signature tune, "Raindrops Keep Fallin' on My Head," had earned him worldwide fame and an Academy Award for Best Original Song in the film Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Born in Hugo, Oklahoma, and raised in Texas, Billy Joe Thomas grew up singing in church choirs and small bands before his breakthrough in the 1960s. His early success came with a cover of "I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry," which reached the pop charts and revealed his smooth, emotional voice to the world. But it was in 1969, when "Raindrops Keep Fallin' on My Head" hit the airwaves, that B.J. Thomas became a household name. The song's simple optimism and catchy rhythm captured the feeling of an entire era and made him one of the most beloved artists of his generation. Through the 1970s, his career continued to soar. He released hits like "Hooked on a Feeling," "I Just Can't Help Believing," and another "Somebody Done, Somebody Wrong" song, which all reached the top of the charts. Behind the fame, he faced personal struggles and moments of reflection, eventually finding strength through faith and gospel music. In the 1980s and beyond, he transitioned into inspirational songs that spoke about redemption and gratitude, showing a more mature and peaceful side of himself. In March 2021, B.J. publicly announced his diagnosis, thanking his fans for decades of love and support. Even in his final months, he stayed positive and expressed deep appreciation for the life he had lived. When news of his passing spread that May, tributes came from fans and fellow musicians across genres. His songs once again filled the airwaves, reminding everyone of his gentle warmth and timeless melodies. Today, when "Raindrops Keep Fallin' on My Head" plays, it still carries the same hopeful message, a voice of calm and sunshine that endures long after the rain has stopped. Number 6. Leslie Gore. On February 16, 2015, the music world lost one of its brightest voices of the 1960s. Leslie Gore passed away at a hospital in Manhattan after a long battle with lung cancer. She was 68 years old. For millions of fans, her name would forever be linked to teenage heartbreak and empowerment, thanks to timeless hits like "It's My Party" and "You Don't Own Me." Her songs spoke to young women in a way few others had, giving a voice to independence and self-respect long before such ideas were common in pop music. Born in Brooklyn and raised in New Jersey, Leslie was just 16 when she recorded "It's My Party." The song shot to #1 on the Billboard charts in 1963, instantly making her a star. She followed it with a string of hits that captured both vulnerability and defiance, creating a new image of the American teenage girl, emotional, proud, and unafraid to stand alone. "You Don't Own Me," released in 1964, became an anthem not just for pop fans but for women everywhere. Decades later, it would be recognized as one of the most influential songs in feminist music history. After the teenage fame faded, Leslie reinvented herself. She studied at Sarah Lawrence College and began writing her own songs, exploring themes of love, equality, and identity. In later years, she became an advocate for social causes, using her fame to promote understanding and compassion. Her return to the spotlight came with her album Ever Since in 2005, a mature and reflective work that showed how much she had grown as both an artist and a woman. Even while facing illness, Leslie continued to work quietly on music projects and mentoring young artists. Her close friends described her as graceful, witty, and always optimistic. When the news of her passing reached the public in 2015, tributes flooded from musicians who credited her for breaking barriers in the male-dominated pop industry. "You Don't Own Me" once again climbed streaming charts, its message more relevant than ever. Leslie Gore's voice may have left the stage, but her spirit continues to inspire every artist who dares to sing about freedom, courage, and the strength to be oneself. If her songs ever spoke to your heart, share a memory in the comments and let others know what Leslie Gore meant to you. Number 7. Rosemary Clooney. On June 29, 2002, the curtain fell on one of America's most cherished voices. Rosemary Clooney passed away in Beverly Hills, California, after battling lung cancer. She was 74 years old. For more than 50 years, her warm, familiar tone had filled homes, radios, and movie theaters, defining an era when big bands and pop standards ruled the charts. Her career began in the late 1940s and reached its peak with songs like Come On, My House, Hey There, and This Old House. Born in Maysville, Kentucky, Rosemary grew up during the Great Depression. She began singing with her sister Betty, before being discovered by a radio producer who saw promise in her clear, emotional voice. By the early 1950s, she had signed with Columbia Records and became one of the top female vocalists in the United States. Her film career soon followed, and she appeared alongside Bing Crosby in the classic holiday movie White Christmas, forever linking her name to one of the most beloved films in American history. Behind the success, however, Rosemary's life was marked by hardship and resilience. She faced personal struggles, loss, and the demands of fame at a young age. Yet she always returned to her first love, music. By the 1970s, she made a powerful comeback, performing jazz and pop standards with renewed passion. Her voice, now richer and more mature, carried a depth that came only from experience. Audiences embraced her again, and she recorded a long series of albums that cemented her legacy as one of the most enduring interpreters of the American songbook. In the late 1990s, her health began to decline, but she never stopped performing. She continued touring, often sharing the stage with her nephew, actor George Clooney, who adored her deeply. Her final concert took place in December 2001, just months before her passing. When news broke that summer in 2002, tributes poured in from musicians and fans around the world. They remembered not only her golden voice, but also her warmth and humility. Rosemary Clooney's music remains a timeless reminder of an era when every note was sung with heart and every lyric carried a story worth remembering. Number 8. Warren Zevon. On September 7, 2003, the world lost one of its most distinctive and fearless songwriters. Warren Zevon passed away in Los Angeles after living with mesothelioma, a rare form of lung cancer. He was 56 years old. Known for his sharp wit, dark humor, and storytelling ability, Zevon's songs blended rock, pop, and satire in a way no one else dared to attempt. His music often revealed the absurdity of fame, mortality, and the human condition, all with a grin that said he understood life's irony too well. Born in Chicago and raised in California, Warren's early years were filled with curiosity and rebellion. He studied classical music before turning toward rock in the 1960s, performing as a session musician and songwriter. His big break came in 1978 with the release of his album, Excitable Boy. It included Werewolves of London, a quirky, unforgettable hit that would follow him for the rest of his life. With its growling refrain and mischievous tone, the song captured everything Zevon was clever, haunting, and irresistibly original. Throughout the 1980s and 90s, Zevon built a loyal following among musicians and fans who admired his fearless honesty. He wrote songs like Lawyers, Guns, and Money, and Roland the Headless Thompson Gunner, using humor to explore chaos and conflict. Critics called him the songwriter's songwriter, and legends like Bob Dylan, Bruce Springsteen, and Jackson Browne all praised his genius. Yet, for much of his life, Zevon lived on the edge, confronting personal battles that shaped his music's depth and bite. In 2002, doctors told him his illness was terminal. Instead of retreating, Warren did what he always did. He turned pain into art. He began recording what would become his final album, The Wind. Friends like Springsteen and Don Henley joined him in the studio, knowing these would be his last sessions. When The Wind was released shortly before his death, it received universal praise and later won 2 Grammy Awards. In his final television appearance on The Late Show with David Letterman, Warren summed up his philosophy with a single line: "Enjoy every sandwich." When he left the world that September, his voice remained a reminder that courage, wit, and truth can outlive even the shortest of lives. Number 9. Eddie Kendricks. On October 5, 1992, the music world said farewell to one of the most recognizable voices in Motown history. Eddie Kendricks passed away in Birmingham, Alabama, after battling lung cancer. He was 52 years old. His high, silky falsetto had been the signature sound behind some of the Temptations' greatest hits, songs that defined an entire generation of American pop and soul music. From My Girl to Just My Imagination, his voice carried emotion, elegance, and a kind of yearning that made listeners stop and feel every note. Born in Union Springs, Alabama, and raised in Birmingham, Eddie began singing gospel in church choirs before forming a local doo-wop group in the 1950s. That group eventually evolved into the Temptations, one of Motown's most successful acts. During the 1960s, they dominated the charts with a string of #1 hits, and Eddie's voice often led the way. His graceful delivery on The Way You Do the Things You Do and Get Ready helped set the Temptations apart from every other group of the era. On stage, his tall frame and smooth dance moves made him a natural frontman, embodying the charm and polish that defined Motown's golden age. In 1971, after years of touring and creative tension within the group, Eddie decided to pursue a solo career. His first big hit, Keep On Truckin', released in 1973, reached #1 on the Billboard R&B chart and crossed into the Pop Top 5. For the next 2 decades, he remained a respected performer, admired by fans and musicians alike for his artistry and humility. Despite his fame, he kept a quiet personal life and often returned to Alabama, staying close to his roots. In the early 1990s, doctors diagnosed him with lung cancer. Even as his health declined, Eddie continued to perform at reunions and charity events. One of his final appearances was in 1989, when the Temptations reunited for a celebrated tour that brought together the original members one last time. When news of his passing spread in 1992, tributes came from across the music industry. Fellow artists called him a pioneer, a gentleman, and a voice that would never fade. To this day, when My Girl plays on the radio, that pure falsetto still carries the same warmth and beauty, a timeless echo of Eddie Kendricks' soul. Number 10. Roger Miller. On October 25, 1992, America lost one of its most creative and witty voices in music. Roger Miller passed away in Los Angeles after a battle with lung cancer. He was 56 years old. Known for his sharp humor, clever lyrics, and effortless charm, Roger brought a unique blend of country, folk, and pop that redefined what a hit song could sound like. His timeless anthem, King of the Road, became a cultural touchstone, a song that captured freedom, humor, and humanity in just a few lines. Born in Fort Worth, Texas, and raised in Oklahoma, Roger grew up in poverty but found escape through music. He taught himself guitar and began writing songs as a teenager. After serving in the U.S. Army, he moved to Nashville, where he wrote hits for other artists before stepping into the spotlight himself. His early recordings in the 1960s showed a rare mix of intelligence and playfulness. By 1964, he released Dang Me, a song that made people laugh and think at the same time. It won him a Grammy Award and established him as one of the most original songwriters in American pop. In 1965, King of the Road arrived and changed everything. The song's simple melody and wandering lyrics told the story of a man without riches but full of spirit. It topped both the country and pop charts and earned Roger 5 Grammy Awards in one night. His success continued through the decade, with songs like Engine Engine No. 9 and England Swings, proving his humor and humanity were universal. Audiences adored his quick wit and down-to-earth personality, while critics praised his ability to find poetry in everyday life. In later years, Roger turned his talents to Broadway, writing the Tony Award-winning musical Big River, based on the adventures of Huckleberry Finn. Even as his health declined in the early 1990s, he kept performing and writing, refusing to slow down. When he passed away in October 1992, tributes poured in from country and pop legends alike. They remembered him not only as a songwriter, but as a storyteller who made people smile through honesty and heart. Roger Miller's songs still echo across generations, reminding us that humor, humility, and truth never go out of style. If one of his songs ever lifted your mood, share your favorite in the comments and celebrate his unforgettable legacy. Number 11. Freddie Fender. On October 14, 2006, the voice that bridged cultures and genres fell silent. Freddie Fender passed away at his home in Corpus Christi, Texas, after a long battle with lung cancer. He was 69 years old. Known for his warm voice and emotional delivery, Freddie's music blended country, pop, and Tejano styles in a way that spoke to both heart and heritage. His biggest hit, Before the Next Teardrop Falls, remains one of the most beloved crossover songs in American music history. Born Baldemar Huerta in San Benito, Texas, Freddie grew up picking crops with his family and learning guitar at a young age. His early love for both Mexican folk songs and American rock and roll shaped his sound into something entirely his own. By the late 1950s, he was performing under the stage name Freddie Fender, inspired by the popular guitar brand. His bilingual approach, switching effortlessly between English and Spanish, made his music stand out during a time when few Latin artists found success in mainstream American pop. In 1975, Freddie recorded Before the Next Teardrop Falls, a gentle ballad that soared to number 1 on both the country and pop charts. The song earned him a Grammy Award and introduced his tender voice to millions. Soon after came another massive hit, Wasted Days and Wasted Nights, originally written years earlier but reborn through his soulful performance. Freddie's ability to sing about heartbreak with honesty and hope made him one of the most respected figures in country and pop alike. Through the 1980s and 90s, he continued performing and recording, often touring with groups like the Texas Tornadoes and Los Super 7, blending rock, blues, and traditional Latin rhythms. His charm and humility made him a fan favorite wherever he went. In his later years, Freddie faced health challenges but never stopped singing. He often said that music gave him peace and purpose, even in difficult times. When news of his passing came in 2006, tributes poured in from both sides of the border. Fans remembered a man whose voice carried love, pain, and unity in equal measure. Freddie Fender's songs continue to play on radios across generations, reminding everyone that music, when sung from the heart, can cross any boundary and never truly fade away. Number 12. Eddie Rabbitt. On May 7, 1998, the world lost a voice that had beautifully blended country and pop for more than 2 decades. Eddie Rabbitt passed away in Nashville, Tennessee, after battling lung cancer. He was 56 years old. His songs had filled both country roads and city airwaves, speaking to everyday emotions with simplicity and sincerity. From I Love a Rainy Night to Every Which Way But Loose, Eddie's music celebrated love, hope, and the small joys of life. Born in Brooklyn, New York, and raised in New Jersey, Eddie grew up surrounded by Irish-American traditions and the sounds of folk and country music. His father played accordion and fiddle, inspiring him to start writing songs as a teenager. After moving to Nashville in the 1960s, Eddie worked as a janitor by day and songwriter by night. His big break came when Elvis Presley recorded his song Kentucky Rain in 1969, giving him instant recognition within the music industry. That success encouraged him to pursue a solo career, one that would eventually make him a household name. By the late 1970s, Eddie Rabbitt had become one of the leading figures in the new wave of country pop crossover artists. His cheerful anthem, I Love a Rainy Night, reached number 1 on both the country and pop charts in 1980, and his duet, You and I, with Crystal Gayle, became a wedding favorite for years to come. Audiences loved his smooth voice and down-to-earth personality. His songs carried a universal charm, appealing to fans from all walks of life. Despite fame, Eddie preferred a quiet lifestyle. He devoted much of his time to his family and avoided the Hollywood spotlight. In the mid-1990s, doctors diagnosed him with lung cancer. Rather than stepping away, he continued recording, performing, and spending time with his children. His final album, Beaten the Odds, reflected his optimism and faith, showing that his spirit remained unbroken. When he passed away in May 1998, the country music community mourned deeply. Artists across genres called him a true craftsman of melody and words. His music still plays on radio stations around the world, a reminder of the man who could make rain sound like love and sadness feel like hope. Eddie Rabbitt's songs continue to shine with the warmth of a storyteller who loved life until the very end. Number 13. Bobby Hebb. On August 3, 2010, the world said goodbye to a man whose music had brought light to one of the darkest times in American history. Bobby Hebb passed away in Nashville, Tennessee, after battling lung cancer. He was 72 years old. Best known for his timeless hit, Sunny, Bobby's gentle voice and uplifting lyrics helped heal a nation during the turbulent 1960s. His song became an anthem of optimism, recorded by hundreds of artists around the world and played across generations. Born in Nashville in 1938, Bobby came from a family of musicians. He and his brother Harold performed as children on local shows, developing their harmony and stage presence early on. By his teens, Bobby had already played with legends like Bo Diddley and Roy Acuff, crossing the lines between country, R&B, and pop. His talent for melody and rhythm made him a versatile artist who could move between genres effortlessly. In 1963, tragedy struck when Bobby's brother was killed in an attack, just one day after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Overwhelmed by grief, Bobby turned to music as his refuge. Out of that pain came Sunny, a song about choosing hope over despair. Released in 1966, it climbed to number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became one of the most covered songs of all time. From Frank Sinatra to Cher to James Brown, artists across the world embraced its message of warmth and resilience. After the success of Sunny, Bobby toured with the Beatles during their final American concerts, performing before massive crowds who sang along to every word. Though he never reached the same level of commercial fame again, he remained respected in the music community for his artistry and quiet strength. In later years, he continued writing and performing, often speaking about the healing power of music. When he passed away in 2010, tributes described him as the man who taught the world to smile again. His song Sunny still appears in films, commercials, and playlists around the globe. Its joyful melody continues to remind listeners that even after loss, there is always a reason to look toward the light. Bobby Hebb's legacy lives on in every note that dares to turn sorrow into sunshine. Number 14. Gary Crosby. On August 24, 1995, Hollywood lost a familiar name and a voice that had once filled the airwaves of post-war America. Gary Crosby passed away in Burbank, California, after battling lung cancer. He was 62 years old. As the eldest son of legendary crooner Bing Crosby, Gary grew up surrounded by fame, music, and the expectations that came with being part of one of America's most famous entertainment families. Born in Los Angeles in 1933, Gary's childhood was spent between recording studios, film sets, and private tutors. From a young age, he showed talent as both a singer and an actor. In the late 1940s, he began performing alongside his father and brothers as part of the Crosby Boys, a harmony group that appeared on radio and television. Their smooth voices and wholesome image reflected the optimism of post-war America. Yet behind the public smiles, Gary struggled with the pressures of fame and the weight of his family name. During the 1950s, he launched his solo career as a pop singer, earning moderate success with songs like Sam's Song and Play a Simple Melody, both recorded with his father. He also found work in television and film, appearing in shows such as The Bill Dana Show and Adam 1-2. His easy charm and clear tenor voice won him loyal fans, though he never sought to compete with his father's towering legacy. Gary often spoke about how music was both a gift and a burden in his life, something he loved deeply, but could never fully separate from the Crosby image. In later years, Gary's life took keener turns. He wrote a candid memoir reflecting on his childhood and his complex relationship with his father, hoping to show that even in famous families, love and pain can coexist. Despite personal struggles, he remained respected in Hollywood circles for his honesty and professionalism. When his illness worsened in the mid-1990s, he withdrew from the spotlight but stayed close to friends who remembered his humor and warmth. When news of his passing came in 1995, tributes described him as a man who carried both the magic and the melancholy of the golden age of American entertainment. Gary Crosby's life told a story of music, family, and resilience, a reminder that even those born in the brightest spotlight still search for their own voice in the echo of fame. Number 15. Kenny Rankin. On June 7, 2009, the world of jazz and pop lost one of its most graceful and heartfelt voices. Kenny Rankin passed away in Los Angeles, California, after battling lung cancer. He was 69 years old. His music, a delicate blend of pop, folk, and jazz, carried a warmth that made listeners feel as if he were singing directly to them. With a voice both tender and precise, he became a favorite among musicians and fans who valued sincerity over spectacle. Born in New York City in 1940, Kenny grew up listening to records by Frank Sinatra and Johnny Mathis. Those early influences shaped his smooth phrasing and sense of melody. By the early 1960s, he was performing in Greenwich Village clubs, part of the same folk scene that gave rise to legends like Bob Dylan and Joan Baez. His first big break came when he appeared on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, who admired his talent and invited him back more than 20 times, a rare honor for a singer-songwriter of that era. In 1967, Kenny released his debut album, Mind Dusters, which included his version of Peaceful, a song that would later become a radio hit for Georgie fame. His gentle interpretations of well-known songs soon set him apart. His cover of the Beatles' Blackbird was praised by Paul McCartney himself, and his rendition of Here's That Rainy Day became a standard for jazz enthusiasts. During the 1970s and 80s, Kenny's albums Silver Morning and The Kenny Rankin Album showcased his warm voice and sophisticated guitar playing, winning him a loyal following among both pop and jazz listeners. Even in later years, Kenny remained active, performing around the world and recording music that reflected a deep sense of gratitude and artistry. In early 2009, he was diagnosed with lung cancer shortly after being asked to perform at the Grammy Museum's opening. Just weeks later, the illness claimed his life, shocking those who admired his quiet brilliance. Fellow artists described him as a musician's musician, a man who sang with honesty, not ego. Though his time was cut short, Kenny Rankin's music continues to live on in the hearts of those who seek truth in song. His voice reminds us that real artistry needs no flash, only feeling. If you love stories like this, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.